Welcome back to Clash of Cultures. Today we're going to be recapping the Ohio State Buckeyes 2023 season. Obviously, another one of those teams with championship aspirations kind of fell through the roof towards the latter part of the year, losing back-to-back games to end the season, but still a successful season in my opinion. Obviously, my dad's a big Ohio State fan, so he's going to give his opinion as well. But as always, if you're new to the channel, please do us a favor, like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you don't miss an upload. We have some really big news coming at 1,000 subscribers. I believe we have like 20 more subscribers to go. We obviously have the giveaway, but another monumental news coming for the channel. So please help us get to that 1,000 subscriber mark so we can tell you guys all about that. But Dad, what's your thoughts on your Ohio State Buckeyes and the way you guys started and finished the season?
Yeah, I'm going to mention this in the same breath that I talked about Alabama. I think when you're, at least what I believe an elite program, your aspirations, just like you said, are national championship. I think we have a checklist of things that we intend to accomplish every year. And really, if you kind of look at that checklist, we probably did not accomplish any of those things. One, probably win the conference. Two, but probably number one on our hearts and minds and souls is beat Michigan. And then three, put ourselves in a position to win a national championship. Now, obviously, that's not going to happen every year, but those other two, we should be pretty consistent in doing. We have been pretty consistent in doing, at least over the course of most of our lives, but we haven't gotten it done in the last couple of years. So a very good year by most people's standards. I think by Ohio State fan standards, obviously me being one of them, we've become a bit spoiled. Rightfully so. We become a little bit entitled, and we have high expectations. And those expectations were not met this year. At the end of the day, I think we knew. We felt comfortable knowing that this season was going to come down to one game. One game was, I'm not going to take credit away from Missouri. Missouri beat us, but I don't put much stake in that game. That game doesn't bother me that much. I think by that point in time, we knew we weren't in the playoffs. We had a bunch of people sitting out, and I'm sure Missouri did too. So I'm not overly upset about the Missouri game. I am obviously upset about the Michigan game, them beating us for the third time in a row. Obviously, they went on to win the national championship. But the fact that we haven't been able to get over that hump in the last 3 years. And like I said, to me, that is a successful Ohio State season. We cannot, even last year, when we played Georgia, in the playoffs, I was still a little bit upset and a little bit concerned because if we had beat Georgia, I don't know how great a national championship feels in a season where we don't beat Michigan. So yeah, that's the standard that we need to get back to. Obviously some issues at the quarterback position, a lot of injury concerns. Travion was hurt parts of the year, and Emeka Buku was hurt parts of the year. Just about every key component sat out at some point in the year. Offensive line issues, some things that we need to work on there. I did like the defense. Even in that Michigan game. And Michigan's a very good team. Obviously, like I said, I went on and won the national championship, but I did like what the defense did. I did like the steps, the leaps and bounds forward that they took. I hope we bring back a lot of those defensive players. I hope we that becomes the new standard in terms of our defense. And then we just get better quarterback play. No knock to Kyle McCord. For most teams, this would have been a very good season. Over 3,000 yards passing, 24 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. But there were key moments where quarterback play was probably the difference in us winning. And when I say key moments, again, we're talking about the Michigan game. There were key moments where in that game where a play here or there, and we may win that game, and then who knows what the season becomes. What's your thoughts?
So obviously, I've said this numerous times about so many different teams. When you are obviously an Ohio State fan, an Alabama fan, a Clemson fan, and your team has multiple national championships, and you finish 11-2, the consensus is the world is ending, and your program has completely gone to shambles. And I just don't agree with that. Obviously, you talked about the Missouri loss. In my opinion, I'm not going to say there's literally an asterisk on the screen, but I'm not going to say there's an asterisk on that game.
Why is there asterisks?
Because it was played at a neutral site.
Okay.
But it was just a pun. But I don't, like you said, I don't take too much into that game. A lot of players sat with the transfer portal and opt-outs. Bowl games have become pretty much irrelevant outside of the playoffs. Yeah. So I think obviously the loss to Michigan was big, but that was a very competitive game. It was a good game. Obviously losing 3 times in a row to them is not a great feeling. But if you look at the rest of your season, you guys dominated in pretty much every single game outside of the Notre Dame game, Penn State, obviously, and then Michigan.
Yeah.
So 9 of the 12 regular season games were completely dominant. I know early in the year, you guys struggled a bit offensively, kind of found your footing, after the Notre Dame game, which was, to be expected. I mean, you had a new quarterback who had to mesh with, brand new weapons who had to mesh with a brand new quarterback, I should say. So I didn't, think too much of that. But I do think it was still a successful season. At the end of the day, you finished in the top 10. I'm not sure what the final AP poll said, but heading into the college football playoff, rankings, you finished in the top 10. So it's not like you didn't have a shot at the playoffs. So I just think at the end of the day, if it was a 12-team playoff, you'd be in, and no one
Yeah.
would be saying that this team is just such a bad team. And I don't think people are saying they're just such a bad team, but after the Missouri game, I think talk circulated around that. But again, a lot of players sat. So for me, I still think, like I said, it was a successful season. Obviously, you guys are going to be losing a ton heading into next year. Obviously, the transfer portal, you guys hit big so far with Judkins as well as Will Howard. So
Yeah.
that should help out a lot. I don't know how well Will Howard's going to play in the offense, but it's better than using a true freshman. So obviously, they're going to have some quarterback battles and duels to kind of figure out who's the guy there. I think Judkins is, if not the best running back in college football, definitely top 3. So I think that is a huge grab for you guys in the portal. Travion Henderson hasn't declared yet, I don't believe. So
Nope.
even if he does, I mean, I think Judkins is a better running back than him. So I don't think it really matters if he declares or not. Obviously, having both would be great. It'd be the Corum and Edwards type duo. But I think regardless, you guys are upgraded in that position.
Mhm.
Now, obviously, you guys are losing Marvin Harrison and most likely Ibuka, which is going to hurt. You're obviously bringing back Ennis, Carnell Tate. So I don't think it's going to be a huge drop off. Fleming's obviously gone.
Yeah. Fleming's left.
So there's going to be some question marks surrounding the receiving corps after having the best receiving core in college football, between you guys and Washington. So I think there's going to be question marks surrounding that. Did Kate Stover declare?
Kate Stover's leaving. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I mean, that's another big piece, one of the better tight ends in college football as well. But I think overall, like I said, good season. Ohio State is still a top 3 program, top 5 program at minimum. So you're still going to get the recruits. You're still going to be competing. Obviously, next year the Big Ten expands with the likes of Washington, USC, UCLA, and Oregon. And I would say 2 of those teams can compete for a conference championship
Mhm.
immediately. Really, really 3 of them. So. It's going to be interesting to see how Ohio State fares next year. Obviously, they play at Oregon. We plan on going to that game.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I think this team's, like I said, going to be in the hunt for the 12-team playoff, but there's so many good teams in the Big Ten next year that it's going to be kind of tough when you're bringing in a new quarterback, when you're bringing in all new skill positions. But I think like the Georgias, like the Alabamas, those teams, I think Ohio State is one of those programs that can still, finish the season 11-1. And when you're an 11-1 team in the 12-team playoff, you're going to get in.
Yeah, I think the pressure to win is going to be much less next year. I think, no matter what, I don't suspect, as I kind of look at our schedule, I will say, and again, obviously a game can pop up for next year. There's about 3 losable games. The Oregon game that you mentioned, Penn State always is a close game, although I think we've had their number recently. And then obviously we end the year with the Michigan game. Fortunately, that game is in Ohio Stadium. I like the pieces we're bringing back. We'll see what happens with the quarterback position. You mentioned Will Howard, Devin Brown, the guy who got hurt, if you guys remember the Missouri game, early, kind of a dual threat quarterback, 4-star, 5-star guy, depending on what service you looked at. Is coming back as well. A bunch of unanswered questions, and as we kind of go through these early, they'll continue to be that we lost a bunch of depth in the transfer portal. I think we're up to almost like 20
Yeah,
players.
you guys lost a lot. I forgot about that.
Yeah, we're up to like 20 players that we lost in the transfer portal. Again, bringing in a very highly rated recruiting class, something like second, third, again, depending on what ranking service you're looking at. What's up?
So speaking of recruiting class, you guys did lose those receivers, but you bring in Jeremiah Smith,
Yep.
who I expect is going to play as a true freshman. I don't see
Yeah.
the number 1 receiver in the class
Yeah.
redshirting.
And we talk about this. This is the era of the transfer portal, so I think it's almost a situation, and again, I think we are very aware that Jeremiah Smith was down to the last minute between us and at least Miami, and if not Florida State as well. I heard it was in that conversation, so I think that gives added pressure to get him on the field early. I would suspect we normally play four wide, one back. So again, as you kind of mentioned, Tate, Ennis. I think Jeremiah Smith. I'm hoping Mbuka comes back. We'll see. Again, no guarantee. We'll see. I'm hoping that, as I mentioned, kind of in our live show yesterday, that the Michigan win motivates a bunch of players to come back. We haven't heard from JTT yet, whether or not he's going to come back. Jack Sawyer said he is coming back. Still Chambers is leaving. So we are losing a piece of our defense, a big piece of our defense, but we're bringing back a bunch of players as well. We're bringing back Williams on the inside. We're bringing back Hamilton on the inside. So we're bringing back a number of a good piece of that defense that played very well. I think we're gonna supplement that with some players. And I think we should have a very good defense. I think next year really comes down to who wins the quarterback job. If it is Will Howard, as we probably suspect, if it is Devin Brown, as could be the case, and then the quarterback play. I think the skill position, I think Ohio State now is a team that is going to fill out skill positions pretty well. I think we're going to have good receivers. I think we're going to have a good back, and I think we kind of know that with whatever happens, even if Travion Henderson does leave, we're going to have a good running back. But can we get better play out of the quarterback position? And if so, I suspect that we're going to have a pretty good season.
Yeah, and I mean, I think because you guys are bringing in Judkins, which I believe is 100% confirmed. I'm almost positive.
Yeah. He's even posted that
now. So if you guys, having him at running back again, I think at least coming into next season, he's got to be the number one running back in the country. With Corum leaving, obviously Jonathan Brooks, I think he's done, if I'm not mistaken.
I would assume he is.
So I think he's probably the number one running back coming back. So, I wouldn't be surprised if you guys went to a more ground game, especially if you kept Henderson. Having two top 10 or so backs in college football, like I said, it would literally be like Michigan. Obviously, Ohio State has a little bit different play style, but when you are losing so many key pieces on the outside, instead of relying on younger receivers who aren't really proven, you can rely on the two veteran, running backs who are proven. Obviously, Judkins ran wild in the SEC, which is by all means the toughest conference in college football. And then you have Henderson, who's very experienced in the Ohio State system already. So I would expect them to kind of lean on those two guys. Even if Henderson doesn't come, I would still expect them to leave on Judkins. Still kind of surprising that he left Ole Miss. But maybe he just wanted a little bit more touches. I don't really know. He had a great career there. Yeah. So something, maybe NIL made him.
Well, the only thing I can understand, I would expect, and no knock to Ole Miss, but I think he wanted to go maybe to a place with a little bit more exposure, right? And I am sure, I don't think this is a diss to anybody, Ole Miss. Ohio State just plays more nationally televised games than Ole Miss does. I'm not saying that we're going to be a better team or we are a better team. Obviously, I'm an Ohio State fan, but I do want to keep this as neutral as possible. I think we do get a little bit more exposure. Just mentioning good running backs. That Ollie Gordon out of Oklahoma State is also coming back. He was a 1,700-yard rusher. I just want to give respect to him. He's going to be a good back too. But I think if we have Travion and Judkins, I think that may be one of the best running back duos in college football in a long time, probably since Reggie Bush and Lindell White. That is a pretty dynamic two-piece running back room with two guys who have both run over 1,000 yards in one running back room.
Yeah, it's definitely gonna be an interesting offseason for you guys as you guys continue to hit the portal. We're still waiting for a couple of guys to declare to announce if they're coming back or not. So it's gonna be really interesting to see kind of how it shakes out. But as always, if you guys are new to the channel, please let us know in the comment section what you guys think of the Ohio State Buckeyes season. Let us know what teams you guys want to see us recap. And again, share this channel to a friend, tell a friend to subscribe. We're almost at 1,000 subscribers, 19 more to go. Like I said, we're giving away a signed Heisman jersey for you guys when we hit that mark. We've been announcing that for the past couple of months, and we have some huge news coming at the 1,000 subscriber mark as well. You guys are not going to want to miss it, so please hit that notification bell. We will see you guys tomorrow where we recap the Clemson Tigers, my Clemson Tigers. We will see you guys then. Peace out.